You're listening to No Plot, Only Lore, a podcast about games and the tables we play them at. Your DMs tonight and every night are Josh and Kris. You can find us on all podcast platforms or check us out at noplotonlylore.com. If you like what you hear today, please rate and review the show and share it with everyone you've ever met.
Welcome back to No Plot, Only Lore, this week brought to you by ChatGPT, the AI that was meant to revolutionize the world that sucked so bad we've got to sell ads on it now.
I'm so happy they're not making money and this thing might implode within the next year.
It's so incredibly cathartic to me that their art theft sucks that bad.
This is like very much the ultimate schadenfreude for me. Like, I'm so glad I was right and they are bad. I like from minute one, I was like, this sucks and it's stupid. And
yep.
I think, as far as I can tell, the only reason that it's continued to trundle along was, one, the promise of like, well, they're not saying it, but the promise of like, hey, we can just like trick this thing into working for free. And then the fact that like without this AI bubble, the American economy would actually be in like a full-blown depression.
Yeah, it is the only thing keeping us afloat right now, and that is horrifying on so many goddamn levels.
It's awful.
So for our listeners at home, and very publicly and with humility, I say Josh was right about everything, and I was incredibly wrong about AI. Goddamn.
Oh, it feels so good. The fact that it took a year to hear that out of you really just like just sweetens it that much more.
I mean,
that's
the first time you've heard it publicly. I've said it a couple of times with the mics off, but like, oh my God. I have a history of early adoption on things. Like I like new stuff. I like to play with new toys. I was one of the first people to pick up like a new iPod when they turned to like the iPod Touch. I was in line to grab an iPad when they first came out. I was lined up outside of a drugstore in Victoria on my birthday to buy a Switch. Right?
Yeah.
Like I like new stuff. I like playing with new things. And AI, man, they sold it good.
I am very much the opposite of you in that regard. I buy things on the third generation. I hung on to my 80 gig iPod Classic until they tore it from my hands and I could have an iPhone big enough to put all of my music onto it, because there was no way I was leaving the house without my entire music collection every time.
Were you a Zune kid? Did you have a Zune?
Oh, I was worse than a Zune kid. I was a mini disc kid. Because for some reason I trusted like physical media more than like the idea of like it's all there on a little hard drive. I don't know why, but part of it definitely was like just budget. Like I just couldn't buy one of them, and I had to spend my own money on it. So I was a late adopter, and I hung on forever. But that's how I wait for everything to go through the first 3 or 4 iterations of it's bad, we're fixing it. Okay, now we've proven it's got longevity and we've got all the bugs worked out, right? So as in any sort of tech, that's the way I go. Even like I got an N64 in like 1998. Like it was way late in the cycle. It was like I bought an N64, they released Conker's Bad Fur Day and killed it. I'm like, oh well, all right, I guess I'll go pick up all the games that are good. Like
Conker's Bad Fur Day was such a great fucking game though.
Yeah. So
I spent so much goddamn time playing the like squirrels versus teddy bears nonsense, like multiplayer on that shit. So many hours of my life have been devoted to that game.
See, I played everyone plays GoldenEye. We played a lot of Tony Hawk, but I never got into like the Perfect Darks. I played Perfect Dark a bit, but not like on my system. What my brothers and I spent a lot of time playing was Battle Tanks for some reason. Like there's always everyone's got that one weird game that like hit their family at the right time, and that became your multiplayer. Like we played a little Mario. We didn't play Mario Kart. We played Diddy Kong Racing, which was better Mario Kart.
So much better. Planes.
Planes, hovercrafts, yeah, it was awesome. And then battle tanks, and I spent probably a decade hunting for a copy of Mace: The Dark Age, which was like this weird fighting game that I had played on an arcade at laser tag one year. Did really well at it. Was like, this is the best game, I gotta get it. Spent 10 to 15 years trying to find a copy that half worked, and I was like, oh, this game is awful. This is terrible. Why did I obsess about this?
My mom kind of did the same thing. She got a Super Nintendo with her tax credit the year it came out, and she made it very clear that was her Super Nintendo. We got to play it when she wasn't, and we rented a game from a Blockbuster. God, that's a weird sentence to say now.
Yep.
And it was called Brain Lord, and it was like a top-down RPG that involved a lot of like puzzle solving, and she became absolutely obsessed with this game. And we needed to own it, and she couldn't find a copy forever until the Blockbuster started selling their SNES games, and then she bought the version that we rented.
We rent, like, when I think about renting video games on New Year's Eve in like 2000, maybe 2001, me and a couple of buddies from junior high rented an Xbox from Rogers Video and stayed up all night eating chocolate-covered coffee beans and playing Halo.
God damn.
Yeah.
Them are the days.
That was probably the best New Year's Eve of my life. The next day was just misery, but anyways, late adopter on tech, late. I don't want to say I'm a skeptic. I'm just, in this aspect, conservative. I know the first generation of everything is the most expensive, the most fragile, the least, functional. And so I wait. I never got on 3D TV, and I was right. I didn't touch like any HD TV stuff until Blu-ray had won and was inside of my DVD player on my Xbox, right? Like I don't go for the new Flash because I think it's stupid. The same with virtual reality. My son has a VR headset that he bought at his mom's house. I haven't touched it, and I never will because it's clearly dead now. Like, I just don't care, right?
Yeah.
So
and it's like the second time they've done that too. Like VR seems to go in like weird cycles of making people hurl.
I don't have that problem, but like maybe it's just like a financial thing. I'm like, I'm not going to waste my money chasing these fads because there's always a new thing to chase that they're going to sell you on. But
did I ever tell you about the fact that I used to get virtual sickness from first person anything?
No.
Yeah, so when I was playing first person games of any kind, if I could see it moving on the screen and it should be moving past my eyes, but it didn't, it would make me hurl.
Oh, that's wild.
And before my son was born, I got myself a bucket and a controller and Minecraft because it seemed like it would be the least likely to cause that response.
Yeah.
And just had to train myself to do it because I didn't want my kid to be the one, like the weird kid that didn't have Minecraft.
That's wild.
But like even other people playing those games,
yeah.
If there wasn't like a character for me to focus on in the middle of the screen, it would cause me to hurl.
That's crazy.
Instantly nauseous.
Like some of my earliest gaming memories are playing like Wolfenstein and Doom and stuff like that. Like just never had an issue with first person games. Even Descent was one that had like crazy radical full 3D motion. There was an Alien versus Predator game where if you played as the alien, literally every surface was traversable, so you could just like spin your way down a hallway coming after it. Yeah.
Mine was bad enough that I tried to play Mass Effect in third person.
Gross.
It did not go well.
No.
And because of that, I'm also really bad at first person games. Anyway,
video games aside,
have AI play them for me.
Yeah. Ew. Okay, so you've admitted that you were wrong and it was a mistake. Why?
Yes.
What was the trigger for you that said, you know what? Never mind.
Okay, so I understand logically and morally that AI has always been art theft, right?
Sure.
Like it is a crime against art and humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and it always has been. And I'm not as opposed to that as some other of my peers who have like taken ethics and like dealt with art, like aesthetic, right? Like it's awful.
Yeah.
But sometimes art theft is progress, right? Like there have been a lot of occasions where like just straight up jacking things has led to interesting scenarios. When it's worth it, it isn't okay. It is still an evil, but when it creates great outcomes for humanity, it can sometimes be considered worth it in the long run.
But like, how are you defining art theft? Like, are you just saying like all mimicry is theft?
No, I'm saying that the wholesale use of original artistic work to train AI through literal theft.
No, that I understand. I'm talking about like in the past where you're like, well, sometimes art theft was good.
Not good, but understandable.
Okay.
Right? Like one of the easiest examples would be the entirety of the British Museum.
Okay.
It's just art theft. Right? Like the entire thing is art that was stolen from other places.
Sure.
Right? They are protected, they are preserved. Is it a good thing? No. Other countries that had their stuff taken should probably have their stuff back. Right? But
then there's the argument that like without a system like the British Museum, a lot of this stuff would have been lost to history or destroyed through regime changes, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, like, look at what happened with ISIS and their destruction of, massive historical monuments for ideological reasons. Having it's one of those ends justify the means kind of arguments at the end of the day. Is it the right thing to do? Not always. Are the results
almost never?
Well, I mean, okay, if you're going to raise a culture to the ground, stealing some of its treasures to show off to the future is probably the right thing to do, as opposed to just erasing stuff from history.
Tuck some stuff away and then light all the people on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're already going to be an asshole, then maybe this is a way that you can be an asshole that preserves something a little bit.
Right.
Anyway, art theft, always evil, not always terrible, I guess.
Sure.
Right? Like not always the worst possible thing. The problem that I have with generative AI is that it is not good at the things that it purports to be good at.
Correct.
If it were good at stuff, that was going to materially improve the lives of the majority of the human race, like it was pretending it was going to do, then okay. Yeah. But instead, it has been a net negative in almost every perceivable way. On every metric that we have, it has been an absolute shit show.
Right.
It's bad at stuff. It uses a huge amount of water. RAM prices are through the roof. You can't buy a graphics card anymore. We've got data centers that are creating huge amounts of pollution, both like noise pollution and air pollution and water pollution that are cropping up everywhere. They're propping up the entirety of the American economy right now in a way that is probably unhealthy and going to lead to long-term greater suffering. It's like every metric I can think of.
Putting huge extra strain on power grids. Just the fact that they take up so much space and then leave that area just sort of this desolate little block. Yeah, they're awful.
And like, it's impossible to live in those areas in a lot of cases because the noise pollution has gotten so bad. And like the pollution has gotten so bad that the people who were living there before the data center went up have to move.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you displace people.
Which, like, again, if it had done the thing it was promising to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing that it was promising to do was improve human lives.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow. They were always really vague about that.
They're still vague about it. I mean,
they're so vague about it that they're going to be selling ad space.
Well, I mean, what's his name from Microsoft there? Satya Nadella has been like, hey, we just got to like keep funneling money down this hole until someone figures out how to make it beneficial for humanity. Like, I'm not a pessimistic person by nature, but that is too much optimism. And it's optimism fueled by, I feel like, just a massive version of the sunk cost fallacy. Like,
yep.
We keep pouring money into the infinite money hole. Eventually we got to see the bottom start to come up, right?
Well, like sunk cost fallacy plus the gambler's fallacy.
Right.
Right? We keep rolling 7.
Yeah.
Right? We keep betting 7, we keep rolling 1. But someday we got to roll a 7. Yeah. And we're going to win big. We're going to win it all back.
We just got to push. Right? We just got to push. We're breaking even.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing good. No, and part of it too is that like they took the initial promise, and I think that like when we did our first episode, everything about AI up until that point was still opt-in.
Right.
Yeah, you had to go looking for it.
Yeah, it was like, hey, there's this tool over here. You can go poke around with it if you want. And, it was very exploratory and like a fun toy in the corner. And now it's like, your coffee maker has AI. And it's like, what? Like,
there's no escaping it.
Yeah.
Like, every web app that I use, and I use a lot of web apps across my day, except the ones that we've abandoned at work.
Yeah.
The only one that I can think of that does not use that is one that I am the only person who's qualified to handle because it is so old that nobody's learned how to use it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing that doesn't have AI stuffed into it. And I think as soon as our bosses realize there isn't AI in it, they're going to put it in.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to find a way to wedge it in there, even though it hasn't been touched in years.
Like, it's everywhere. It is inescapable. Like, one of the things that really tripped me on this was I went to go and do a Google search.
Yeah.
And for a long time, almost my entire like online experience, searching on Google had Google search or search Google or I'm feeling lucky or whatever the phrasing was around the bar. Now it had ask Google.
Right.
Because the thing that Google is going to give me is not search results, which hasn't been true for a while. But it's going to give me an AI summary of the results.
Right. Yeah. It's not... nothing makes me angrier than seeing the AI summary at the top and knowing for a fact that it's not accurate. Like, I spent a lot of time getting very good at my Google food, Their spiders worked in a particular way, their algorithm worked in a particular way, and if you knew Boolean searching, it was extremely accurate and you were able to dive through that information to get what you wanted. And now they've obfuscated the results in favor of trying to interpret your intent, which is miserable.
Because they want to be able to provide you better ads.
Right. It's made my search results demonstrably worse because I'm trying to use the skills that I had to get what I want, and now the AI chatbot doesn't know how to read what I asked it.
So, okay. I have been like deep in the guts of the internet for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. I'm not a programmer by nature.
No.
But I have like spent a lot of time on like Fravia's Search Lures sites. I have spent some time developing my own spiders. I have like done a bunch of like not necessarily over the table searching in the past. So when I came across this like Ask Google thing, my first response was maybe I should just make my own spider.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that my spider is just going to find AI slop.
Yep. Yeah, because not only has it stolen all of the information out of there to try to like do what it wants to do with it, but it's now then turning around and polluting the original source of it with its misinformation, hallucination, just fantasyland results.
Well, and that adds to the problem that it was originally supposed to solve, right?
Yeah.
Like, in our first episode about AI, which was admittedly very early in the No Plot Only Lore oeuvre, the thing that I was purporting to be like impressed by for this was the reduction in cognitive load for DMs, right?
Sure.
You didn't have to spend a lot of time putting together a stat block. You could tell the AI what type of stat block you were looking at for, what type of stats you would like to have it like appear in the list, and then it would give those to you. It was great, right? Like,
sure.
I didn't have to do any of the math. I didn't have to do any of the scaling. If I wanted to like level up a creature to a like different challenge rating, then it would do all of that math for me. Fucking great. But now the amount of extra fact checking, correcting, reprompting, retooling my prompts, like prompt engineering, which is
yeah,
like
all
of that, and like managing the output and trying to like think about all of the different like iterations of the thing that I can ask for and like how can I tweak it. A lot of times at this point, it's gotten to the point where it would just be faster and easier for me to fucking do it myself.
Yes. Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that like when it was early and getting things wrong more often, those results and that stuff was not like sanitized, right? No. It was just, we dropped the turd back in the pool, now take another sip.
Gross.
Well, yeah, but like it just
enshittification very literally.
Yeah, for real. Like it if it had time where it went through this process of like people verifying the results and be like, yes, that's accurate, that's how that works. You know, it doesn't. Okay, if you built a little tool that took the scaling rules from 5th edition and you could just like drag and drop whatever creature you wanted and then hit a level and then it would shit it back out, you would know that it would work 100% of the time because it was just math, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out AI can't do math and it can only kind of half understand your questions. So it just kind of like, it's what did someone call it the other day? Someone called it a word guessing machine. and
that is so remarkably accurate.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have been, so like we work with AI at our job.
Oh, I was going to say at gunpoint.
Yeah, at gunpoint. Like neither of us is super keen on the fact that AI is a part of our job.
We have been told, like in one of the feedback rounds, where it was like, "Hey, tell us how you used AI to make your job better." After just like dumping AI on us, I'm like, I don't use it at all. It has not had any effect on me. And they're like, no, you have to, by this time next year, you have to tell me how you've used AI to make your job better, which is like just a terrifying way to handle that.
Yep. But like, because we do use it at work, I am still intrigued in finding ways to make it better, right? To make it like actually do the things that it's supposed to do. And one of the projects that I was working on with it for a while is a weight loss project. And so every day I would put my current weight, my current calories into the AI. I was using ChatGPT 5 at the time. Right. And I would have it occasionally do some like math on those. There was like a single chat that I was using for all of it. And it would sometimes make mistakes that if I were a different person could have been fatal.
Right.
Like it was trying to have me eat a lower amount of calories every day.
Yeah.
Right. It was trying to make me reach like record lows on my record highs on my deficit, record lows on my calories, which if I'm the type of person that's prone to an eating disorder, all that does is encourage me to eat less.
Because it had no context or frame of reference for like, what does a calorie mean and how many does a human being need to, function and maintain weight rather than just crater into the skeleton.
Well, and the problem is that I'd given it that context already, right? Like one of the ways that ChatGPT and other large language models work is that when you send them a message, it isn't just sending them a single message. It is sending them the entire history of that chat. Right. Everything that they've said, everything that you've said. And then it reads that, contextualizes it as much as it can, and then spits out a response from there.
Sure.
But
which is part of why it has this huge environmental effect, is because every conversation is actually 50 conversations.
Yeah, and part of the problem is that AI isn't necessarily great at contextualizing a huge amount of information all at once, right? Like it's, again, one of the things that it's purported to be good at is handling huge amounts of data, but when it is given that huge amount of data, it starts to forget things, right? So it started to forget.
It's baffling to me that the machine forgets.
It never remembers. Well, right? That's the other thing.
For so long, the problem in the tech world and with computers was like, hey, they do exactly what you tell them to do. They can't forget things, right? Like they hang on to all of this information, and then if you tell it the wrong thing, it's because it's remembering everything and trying to do everything at the same time. And now we have the opposite problem.
As a person who works in tech support, there is nothing sadder to me than the loss of the phrase, the computer only does what you tell it to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that isn't true anymore. And that was my favorite way to tell them that the problem existed between the keyboard and the chair.
Yeah. You called in, you had an ID10T problem, and then you just were like, well, call back when you follow my instructions exactly.
Yeah. No, it's really brutal. And what was happening for my weight loss project is that I had created too much history and it began to summarize that history in its own processing.
Yeah.
And so it was pulling information selectively that when processed in the way that it was processing it could be dangerous.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the number one feature I see right now on things is just, let AI summarize this for you. And I'm like, don't you goddamn dare. Because
you're so bad at it.
It's so bad at it. It loses context. It loses reference. It just skips things. Because there was a point in time where we were using, we still are, but there's an AI feature that summarizes a call that comes in. And for whatever reason, it arbitrarily capped itself at 5 lines. So it was just kind of like decide what information from an hour-long phone call was the most important to fit in 5 lines of context. And just it's not that it had the capacity to condense an hour-long phone call into 5 lines of content. It just chose 5 sentences out of the hour-long phone call. And I feel like it does the same thing on every other one.
And not even like the 5 most relevant sentences necessarily. Just the 5 sentences that AI thinks were the most important, either because we spent the most time on them, or because they stood out as being like sufficiently bursty. Which is like another thing that I find really interesting about the like AI phenomenon.
Yeah.
Is that like so much of it is based on linguistics.
Yeah.
So like one of the projects that I was doing recently, one of the things that I was trying to sort out was like how to get AI to jailbreak the AI detectors.
Okay.
Right? Like I wanted AI to be able to produce text that seemed like it hadn't been created by an AI.
Right.
Cool. And so I was giving it very specific instructions for how to get through that by like increasing the variation in paragraph sizes, increasing the variation in word selection, increasing it's called burstiness, which is like the difference in sentence length that you're dealing with. And so like giving it very specific instructions, and every single time the AI detectors were coming up, this was like 99% AI written. Like 100% most of the time, 99% was the best I got it down to.
That's incredible.
And it was because even with those very specific instructions, it can't go past that programming.
Yeah.
It has these like very clear cut like instructions that it has to go by based on what we think an average should look like.
Right. Well, what's very funny to me is that, like, because you complained earlier in this week that about English specifically as a trash language. And,
didn't complain, celebrate it.
Sure.
English is a trash pile of a language. It is the hoarder language. It is stealing vocabulary from other languages and stuffing it into hoarder piles in ways that make absolutely no goddamn sense. And I love and appreciate that about this language so goddamn much.
Well, and what's very funny to me is that it's those very features of the English language that are helping us to keep AI at bay. Mm-hmm. Because AI craves uniformity, right? Mm-hmm. And human beings, especially English-speaking human beings, are just not set up that way.
Not even a little bit.
The way that each of us, the fact that you can say that a writer has a distinctive voice when using the exact same set of tools that every other person who speaks this language has is so funny to me. Like there's other languages out there with much more strict and formalized structure and verbiage and things like that, and English just says do whatever you want as long as someone gets the idea.
Which again is one of my favorite things about this language.
Right.
Like the only rule is transmission.
Right.
As long as the thing that I am saying becomes something that you understand, we have done our job as a language.
See, and that's where there's one part where you and I strongly differ, and I think it's in the importance of spelling. And
spelling is so new.
To my end, it's exactly that importance on the communication and the clarity of what you're saying that is the reason that spelling needs to be there.
No, I understand the drive for standardized spelling and grammar. I understand why we want standardized spelling and grammar.
Right.
I also recognize that up until about 250 years ago, they didn't fucking matter.
Right. But 250 years ago, we also didn't have cars. Like, language is a technology that can improve over time. And I think spelling and grammar are new additions to that technology that we need to treasure in the same way that we do seatbelts and windshield wipers.
Hell no. Taking the seatbelt off, hitting the gas pedal as hard as I can, straight into like run-on sentences with no punctuation. Like we're fucking doing this.
Well, and that's what's funny is that instinct and that lack of structure from people in general is what often helps like differentiate their like human writing from ChatGPT and other AI generated language.
So one of the things that ChatGPT does is, and this is the part of the like word guessing game thing that you were talking about, is that as it's constructing a sentence, the thing that it's doing is doing math to see what would be the next word, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
And it can't break out of that. It does not have the ability to break out of that in normal circumstances. Like unless you jailbreak ChatGPT itself,
right,
which is possible, and there's a bunch of like fun things that I've watched people do for that. But like, unless you break ChatGPT itself, that math always maths.
Right.
And that's the thing that the AI detectors are looking for is like, is this word statistically the most likely to come after the word before it?
It's
how many times do you deviate from that?
You know what this makes me think of is when they are trying to determine whether or not someone's been cheating at chess. Where is the next move the mathematically correct move to make? And then how many of those in a row does it do? If you're constantly doing the best move, you're cheating, right?
And again, compared to your ELO, right? Like if Magnuson is doing the best moves,
yes,
then he's doing the best moves.
Well, like Magnus Carlsen is going to make the correct move 90% of the time. If it jumps to 97%, that's odd.
It's cheating.
Right?
Yeah.
But the average person might only do it like 50 or 60% of the time. All they have to do is jump to 75 and it's like, oh, they're cheating. Or they're getting coached.
If Magnus Carlsen's opponent is doing statistically better than typical, there might be a vibrator in his ass.
That's a whole other story. I was going to say, it does bring up, not that I like want to explore the possibilities of AI for the future because I fucking hate it, but it does beg the question of whether you trained AI on a specific person's like language usage, if then the AI would adopt that voice.
No.
Like if you if you don't give it access to anyone else's use of language but one person,
okay,
would it talk like them?
Because like one of the experiments that I was running is I have a fairly hefty body of bad writing that I have collected over the years that I copied and pasted into a document and said, this is your style guide.
Okay.
Like, take the way that I write,
yeah,
dissect it, understand it, and copy it to the best of your ability.
And it just wasn't able to do it?
It does parts of it. Like there are a lot of times where I will look at a sentence and be like, yeah, that's a sentence that I would have written because I'm cringing at it right now.
Yeah. But then also it just like forgets that.
It doesn't forget it. It's still mathematically correct.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just that they sprinkle in little bits of stuff to make it sound a little bit more like me.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
And so like the paragraphs are still the same size and the sentences all have kind of the same cadence. And like it's kind of that thing where like our old manager will post a response in chat that is very clearly designed by ChatGPT, and both of us fucking groan because it is so obvious immediately that this was an AI generated response.
Oh, in a sentence, in a second, it's just like, oh, that hey,
in a second, yeah.
We've even
just looking at the
formatting.
I'm like, no,
yeah. It's the formatting that gives it away every time. If he took out like the page breaks and the bold, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't.
Oh yeah, like
the GPT,
the lined rule or whatever.
Yeah.
Like half of it. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like the AI will still write something in an AI style, but it'll just change its adjectives and verbs to be more what you would use.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Miserable. Yep. So yeah, you'd have to remove all of its knowledge of language and just be like, this is the only person in the world who speaks English. This is how English is. Make words like them, and then it might do it.
Well, then it doesn't have enough data then.
Well,
right,
yeah.
To, like, you would need to have somebody with like a greater library than Shakespeare's to be able to put it together. And I think Shakespeare would actually be a terrible example because he is a person who rather consistently made up his own words and restructured grammar as he saw fit.
I was going to say, he also stole a lot of his work too. So I'm trying to think of like okay, I hate this example, but if you just uploaded all of Brandon Sanderson's books. Now, the problem is Brandon Sanderson writes in a very...
Brandon Sanderson already sounds like AI.
Yeah, I was going to say, he writes in such a weirdly generic way that like it actually wouldn't help because his... Like, listen, I'm not knocking the guy for being a prolific writer. I'm just saying that in order to produce as much content as he does, you cannot waste a lot of time on prose.
Yeah.
You know, he is the opposite of your George R.R. Martins. He's the opposite of your J.R.R. Tolkien's. He's creating worlds, but they are worlds that are described in a flash and not in depth.
Well, that made him a really interesting choice to finish The Wheel of Time as well, because Robert Jordan writes in such a very specific way that the tonal whiplash of getting into Sanderson's work took a minute for a lot of fans. Yeah. Because you had to go from like an incredibly overwrought, prosy, super descriptive, very, very slow, meandering description style. Yeah. To something that sounds like he's describing an anime. he's telling you about how somebody's running on a wall and then punches somebody to death 6 times. Like, it's I love a lot of Brandon Sanderson's work. I do not love his prose. And I think that he would be a really poor choice to try and train. You know what? Maybe he's the problem. Maybe he's what they used.
That makes the most sense of anything we've said tonight. Is that like, the problem that we have with ChatGPT is that it writes like a guy who doesn't write particularly well.
Yeah. And I think that like one of the things that I really have to pull back on with like the use of AI in terms of role-playing games in specific is that like efficiency is something that we can chase to a point.
Sure.
But ultimately DMing is a human activity.
Right.
It's something that you are bringing your own experience and thought and mastery of to the table. And so like sometimes using a tool to make that go a little faster seems like a good idea. And sometimes it's a fun shortcut. And sometimes you're able to like crib things from other people and steal stuff. But like, it isn't meant to be efficient.
Right. Yeah.
There's a portion of the lonely fun of DMing where you're just like sitting at home doodling in a notebook, like little stat blocks and like fiddling with the math a little bit and trying to make it like more challenging in this way and less challenging in this way, right? Like that act is artistic and deeply human. Yeah.
I completely agree. That's been my assertion about like DMing in general when it comes to like the usage of AI is that DMing is an improvisational art form, and it is meant to be expressive in the same way that creating and embodying a character is for a player. You'll often, there's definitely different levels to it where people are engaging with the world building from just like, hey, this is a pre-generated adventure that I'm going to run for my friends to, hey, I have my own, Obsidian portal that I've spent a decade building the lore of this completely constructed universe in. But all along that spectrum, there is engagement and artistic license taken, and your DMing style comes out that gets just sort of cannibalized when you shortcut in this way. And this is coming from me who freely steals information and ideas, right? Like, I still have to take them and make them my own.
Yeah. Okay. I think that there's a lot of meat on this topic that I would love to get into. We might need to do a part 2 on this.
I think so. I mean, we didn't even get halfway through your notes on this, but yeah, we're in for another part 2 because there's a lot of shit to talk about AI. So
we haven't even gotten into like enshittification yet.
we briefly touched on the idea that they are shitting back in the pool that they drink from, but
yeah. All right. Well, let's grab a fucking straw, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.